Okay, I'd like to call the village board meeting for Tuesday, March 27th to order. Roll call, please, Pat.
Trustee Allison Williams.
Present.
Trustee Paul.
Here.
Trustee Zerbal.
Here.
Trustee Bukowski.
Here.
Trustee Melcheski.
Here.
President Kardowski.
Here. Please.
Trustee Mark Williams is excused this evening.
I'm sorry. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please always remember our men and women that we have throughout the world. Okay, I have no changes. If there are none, I need action on the agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second on the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Action on open and closed minutes from February 27, 2018, regular meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, if we have any comments from the public, they must be limited to items not on the agenda. You have to state your name and address, limited to 5 minutes. Board's role is to listen and not discuss the item. Is there anybody who would like to speak to any item not on the agenda? Sir? If you come up here, please, and state your name and address.
Good evening. My name's Cameron Vaught.
Use the speaker. We have people listening in. They can't hear if you don't use the speaker. Thank you. There you go.
If you want to stand, that's fine.
Yeah, I'd just rather stand if that's all right.
Okay.
Cameron Vaught, 1231 Orlando Drive. I've owned that home for about 2 years now. Mr. Zerbal, I've sent you an email. It was just yesterday, so it's not a big deal. You haven't got back to me.
I left you a voicemail.
Okay, great, perfect. There was an issue that arose Saturday night. I woke up to it Sunday morning. For those of you that aren't familiar with Orlando Drive, how it ends with Marley, it's just a 90-degree turn there, stop sign either side. There's no intersection. There's an issue with people not ever stopping. Since I've lived there over these past 2 years, I recognize about a 20% stop rate. Saturday night, an individual went straight through a stop sign about 25 feet from my house and ended in the storm drain behind my house. He was parked there. He probably traveled at least 75 feet without hitting the brakes. Like I say, 25 feet from hitting my house, about 65 feet from killing one of my children. There's a major issue here, and I don't know if it's speed bumps. I don't know if we can close that off, make it a cul-de-sac either side. I don't know what it is, but we need to do something. I've had to literally jump out of the way of vehicles coming around that turn. There's a house on the inside of the 90-degree turn, and that creates a blind corner if they're coming at any speed. So all the time you hear squealing, tires going around that turn. There's some lower income housing around the corner that a lot of the traffic seems to come from there. They're using this as a main thoroughfare to get to Cormier. So I don't know if it's increased, police presence, if it's additional signage. But like I said, I've had to jump out of the way, literally. I can't let my kids ride their bikes in the street without me standing in the middle of the road, making sure traffic stops before I let them through.
Wow.
So I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention, and hopefully we can do something about it, and I'll return your voicemail. So,
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Zerbal.
Thank you. Actually, those stop signs were installed many years ago because of one of my friends who lived on Orlando insisted on the stop signs because people didn't stop then, so obviously they're not obeying them now either.
Right, and there's a lot of children. I mean, that's a recognized walk from school right there. I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody get hit there.
Okay, thank you. We'll
Thank you.
make sure that Public Works and Public Safety get that information. Thank you. Okay, any other comments from the public on items not on the agenda? State your name and address, please.
Stand up. My name is Zeke Progalski. I reside at 2455 Bay Area Court. In some of my talks with my neighbors recently, there's a couple topics that were brought up. I'd just like to bring it to the attention of the board. One, we were comparing our tax bills, and to a person that I talked to, everyone was very pleased with the line items of the village of Ashwaubenon changing very little. And I think that the board should be, kudos to the board for keeping the taxes as low as what they have been, and to the village for keeping expenses down and still maintaining our level of services. Second topic is the village board meeting video feed. Is that, I understand there's some closed caption issues with that prevent it from being streamed live. Is that something that is going to be changed? Because there's a few people that I talked to would like to see it in real time. So that's all I have.
Okay, to answer the question about the closed captioning, about a year ago, we found out from the FCC, I believe, and the Americans with Disabilities Act that we had to close caption our meetings if they're shown live. The cost to do that is very high. So what we do is we take this meeting tonight, and it will be sent to a private individual. They close caption it, and then we get it back in about 2 days, and it's usually on our website and also on YouTube, correct? So, as of right now, we're trying to, if we did close captioning, we always were on cable. If we did close captioning with just cable, got a price, but that doesn't hit everybody because we still have AT&T, and we have DirecTV, and we have Hulu, and we have all those that we would have to close caption all of them. So that's, is the most cost-effective way, is the way we're doing it right now.
Okay, thank you very
Okay.
much for your time and attention.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the public? Nope. Okay, moving on. For written communications, number 7, I have a written communication that I received, and it was addressed to the chief elected official. It is from Barbara Gonkner, who is with the Wisconsin Municipal Clerks Association. She wrote, "I am pleased to inform you that Patrick Moynihan Jr. has received the designation of Wisconsin Certified Municipal Clerk from the Wisconsin Municipal Clerks Association as of March 1, 2018. This designation comes only after completing many hours of training and experience related to your municipality's business. This designation shows the dedication that Patrick has to you and the citizens of your municipality. Please accept my sincere thank you for allowing Patrick to attend the training sessions necessary to complete this certification. Your municipality will benefit from his achievement." So, congratulations, Pat.
Thank you. I didn't know you were going to do that.
I know you didn't. I
That's very
didn't tell you.
Do we have to give him a raise, or no, or what? No, not yet?
No. So,
Good
anyway,
going,
I would
good going,
just,
Patrick.
yes,
Thank you.
like that put on file.
Thank you.
Are there any other written communications or announcements? Okay. Number 8, action on consent agenda. The consent agenda is a request for the operator's license approval, department reports from March 2018, 2017 final general fund financial report, and budgeted expenditures.
Question on A, request for approval on operator's license. Mr. Clerk, has everybody passed and did everything according to our rules and regulations on the operator, or the
Absolutely.
operating lights? They did?
Absolutely. Or I wouldn't be there, sir.
Very good.
You bet.
Thank you.
Okay?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Chris did.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gary did, I
Gary
guess.
Okay. Number 9. 9.1, public hearing regarding ordinance 03-1-18, creating the B4 Commerce Zoning District and associated zoning ordinance amendments. Is there anybody here who would like to speak for or against this item? This is a public hearing. Is there anybody here who would like to speak for or against this item? Anybody here for or against this item?
Move to close the public hearing?
Second. We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 2, public hearing regarding ordinance 03-4-18, rezoning parcels VAL194-2, VAL194-3, VAL194-4, VAL157, VAL194-1, VAL194, and VAL193, VAL192, VAL189, VAL191, VAL187, and portions of parcels VA-L190, VA-L188, and VA-L199 from B3 Community Business and R1 One Family Residence to B4 Commerce. Okay, anybody here to speak for or against this rezoning? This is a public hearing. Yes, sir, could you come up and state your name and address, please?
Hi, my name is Terry Porter. I live at 1131 Spring Lake Drive, and I'm here representing Spring Lake Condo Association. Okay, and the rezoning isn't an issue with us. It's the creek it's on this map, and it drains our lake and drains the properties behind us. And we're just making sure that that creek doesn't get forgotten and filled in, and we get drowned.
Okay.
So it's, like I said, it's not on here, you know, not those zones, but it's on this map. And I did get the information about that. So if this is a proper time to speak, I'm not sure, but just want to make sure it doesn't get overlooked.
Okay, so that would be,
So, yeah, there have been a couple of comments over the past few months regarding that creek, and we've brought that to the attention of the town of Lawrence also, because the creekway is a waterway, so we can't go in there and just excavate it out, or it can't just be filled in, I guess, to allay some of your concerns. And the town was looking at working with us and with the property owner to get that cleared out.
okay,
Okay, thank you.
okay. Thank you very much. Anybody else like to speak for or against this item? Anybody else like to speak for or against this item?
Move to close the public hearing?
Second. We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 3, public hearing on a request by Kevin Wilson of Wilson's Towing LLC for a conditional use permit to operate an automotive wrecker service and an automobile painting/body shop facility located at 2040 South Ashland Avenue. Okay, is there anybody here who would like to speak for or against? Would you like to come up and state your name and address, please?
Kevin Wilson at 2400 Riverside Drive.
Dave Krauser from Owen Associates, Land Surveying and Land Planning. I guess I'll start for this. I just was recently brought into this by Kevin on this property, and I kind of wish I'd have been brought in a little bit sooner when there were obviously meetings and stuff going on with the village. But there's a number of things, and when you look at this property right here, and it's up against Ashland Avenue, and I do see what you're trying to do with this corridor through here, but this could possibly be a fairly long haul before something happens here, and there's a viable business that is trying to operate out of this. And Kevin has made comments, at least to me, that he does want to improve the property and make it look more representable. Under the, and I'm not sure if Mr. Bukowski is, him being an attorney, because I'm not an attorney, and I know that the state just passed this Act 67 on conditional uses, and under that, the way I read that act is the conditional uses, if that's a viable use for that site, and it's a conditional use, then there have to be conditions set up for that use. And it can't just be denied, is the way I have read that act that is, I think it was approved in November. So I'm wondering if there's some way, because under that act, when you create the conditions for this property, you can set screening, beautification, you know, if there's landscaping, you can set time limits on the time that this thing can actually run. You might even be able to set some sort of time limit how long this conditional use can go before it could possibly be reinstated, and he may have to go through another set of conditions for that. And at that time, maybe we can look at, see how this corridor is actually being built out. Because if somebody comes in and offers him oodles of money for this corner, obviously he's going to move somewhere. But right now, he's got a viable business that can operate out of that corner. And this thing could otherwise possibly sit here for some time before it's actually used. So I think there could be some mutual benefit to both parties to possibly look at this site and allow him to do something. If there's screening for cars that he needs to do, I think that can be worked on. I think there's something that we can do here. Now, the only other thing that I don't know, and I want to make this very clear, and I know I had a pretty long conversation with Aaron this afternoon because he was filling me in on some things also. What I don't know is when you started this stadium district, all the rezoning for this thing, and when he has actually submitted his stuff for this conditional use, because if there's an overlap there, you know, maybe you can actually stop this thing. I don't know, but I would think there's got to be a way here that maybe between both parties that we can get something that could actually fit for everybody on this corner, and that's what I'd like, what I'm hoping that we can possibly do. So I don't know if there's some way, and I know that on the agenda right after this, you have that stadium district zoning coming up. Mm-hmm. I don't know if maybe this parcel could possibly just be tabled for this property. I know Kevin was, he has engaged an attorney, but he could not be here tonight on short notice that he had between the other attorney he had and the one that he's got now. So if there could be a little bit more discussion, that's what we're looking for tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I guess with everything that's going on with this parcel, I guess if we could table it and so everybody can have the proper information, I think that for tonight, that would be a great outcome for me. And just, I guess a little background on our record business, just so everybody knows, we are a first responder. There's only 3 heavy-duty record services in the Green Bay area. ACE was the big one that had retired. They were on Mason Street, so they were the only ones on the west side. The only other 2 are on the north side and on the far east side of the city. So we would be the only first responding heavy record service on the south and west side. And so sometimes I feel like we're treated like a third-rate business. Everybody looks at records business and they think, oh, you haul in cars. Well, those accidents happen on public property, so the same type of, if you think there's spills or things like that, that's happening on public property all the time. But, for us, proximity to the major highways, which Ashland getting on and off 172 without the roundabouts, sometimes we can be 140 feet long pulling combination units. So this is a great location for us for access. That's one of the main reasons why that area really works well for us.
I want to correct you. I want to be corrected if I'm wrong. You said you're the only first responder on the west side?
We're the only first responding heavy-duty truck service on the west side.
What about heavy-duty record service that's been around for 3 generations?
They're up on Ashwaubenon.
That's right.
They're up on the north side.
But they are on the west side.
Well, they're on a very northern side.
All right, thank you.
One other thing that I would just like to add, I know after talking with Aaron tonight, he was concerned that the property doesn't show up under Mr. Wilson's ownership. He does have a signed land contract that's just not recorded with the Register of Deeds, but it's the whole property is under contract with his name. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, does anybody like to speak for or against this item? Anybody like to speak for or against this item?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 4, public hearing regarding ordinance 03-3-18, rezoning parcels VA-55-B, VA-66-4-6-D, VA-66-4-6-C, VA-66-4-6, VA-66-4-6-A, VA-66-4-6-B.
Mary, if I could interrupt, just one second. Tony, is it necessary for Mary to read all of those numbers?
I think it would be good for the public hearing
Okay,
purposes.
all right.
Later on the agenda item, I think we can shorten it up.
Okay, thank
Just
you.
wanted me to give me a break,
I
didn't you?
wanted to give you a break.
VA-66-4-4, VA-66-4-5, VA-66-4-2, VA-66-4-2B, VA-66-4-2A, VA-66-4-1, VA-66-4-1A, VA-56-4-2, VA-56-4, VA-56-5, VA-56-6, VA-56-2, VA-56-7, VA-66-8-1, VA-66-8-3, VA-66-9, VA-66-8-A, VA-66-8-B, VA-66-8-4, VA-66-B-3, VA-66-A-1, VA-66-B-1, VA-66-B, and VA-66-A-2 from light industrial L1 to SE Sports and Entertainment. Okay, anybody here would like to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone here who would like to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone here who would like to speak for or against this item?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second. Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That public hearing is closed. Okay, moving on. Number 10, action items. Resolution in memory of John Monfort. Have it.
Resolution number R3-6-18, resolution in memory of former town chairman and village president John Monfort. Whereas John Monfort was elected as a town supervisor of Ashwaubenon in 1966, and whereas John Monfort was elected as chairman of the town of Ashwaubenon on April 6, 1971, and thereafter became the first village president in 1977, when the town of Ashwaubenon was incorporated into a village, serving in that capacity until 1981. And whereas John Monfort was also a volunteer Ashwaubenon fireman for 18 years, and whereas during President Monfort's terms of office, he oversaw the land purchases, development and dedication of Ashwaubenon Park, the Alloway and Ashwaubenon Bridge, and the approval to construct the Bay Park Square Mall. And whereas John Monfort was also influential in the establishment of the village's Department of Public Safety in 1980 as one of its kind in merging law enforcement and fire and rescue duties in the interest of saving tax dollars. And whereas President Monfort served in other public capacities, including as a member of the town of Ashwaubenon's Planning Commission and as Brown County Supervisor, thereby serving on the Brown County Planning Commission and Chairman of the Brown County Highway Commission. And whereas President Monfort passed away peacefully at his home surrounded by his family on March 18th, 2018. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board of the Village of Ashwaubenon, on behalf of all of the village, does hereby remember and thank John Monfort for his service as town chairman and village president and his numerous roles, accomplishments, and positive impact upon the town and village of Ashwaubenon, adopted by the Village Board of Trustees of the Village of Ashwaubenon this 27th day of March, 2018. Yep.
I'm going to save myself some legwork here. B, proclamation honoring Green Bay Elks Lodge 259 of the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks.
Gentlemen, if you'd like to step forward.
Yeah, good to see you.
A proclamation honoring Green Bay Elks Lodge 259 of the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks, marking 125 years of service to Ashwaubenon and Northeast Wisconsin. Whereas the Village of Ashwaubenon wishes to honor Green Bay Elks Lodge 259 for their extraordinary efforts to improve our community, and whereas Green Bay Elks Lodge 259 has continuously served our community in Northeast Wisconsin in numerous ways, often without recognition, and whereas Green Bay Elks Lodge 259 has offered numerous youth programs such as Hoop Shoot, Halloween at Elks Hollow, Christmas programming, the Dictionary Project, Southwest Area Girls Softball, scouting, and a host of other youth programs aimed for the development of tomorrow's leaders. And whereas Green Bay Elks Lodge 259 provides materials and informational programming to the general public in regard to bullying and drug awareness to ensure homes and schools are always safe environments, and whereas Green Bay Elks Lodge 259 provides valuable student scholarships, legacy scholarships, state scholarships, and family scholarships to assist and ensure tomorrow's leaders' success. And whereas Green Bay Elks Lodge 259, a distinctly American institution, provides U.S. constitutions to schools, as well as hosts a U.S. Constitution test and scholarship, and has paid tribute to our nation on each Flag Day, June 14th, for the past 109 years. And whereas Green Bay Elks Lodge 259 is a long-standing supporter of veterans and provides a host of community outreach and programming to ensure no vet is forgotten. And now therefore be it resolved, with the deepest appreciation of these efforts, the Village of Ashwaubenon does hereby recognize and congratulate Green Bay Elks Lodge 259 on their 125th anniversary, dated this 27th day of March, 2018.
You're all going to be in a newspaper now.
Yeah, you too, Jim.
Good job, Patrick.
Thank you.
I
have a face for radio.
Don't we all?
Okay.
30 seconds.
Now, action item 10C, we have a legislative update from Representative Dave Steffen. Welcome to Ashwaubenon, Dave.
Thank you.
It's great to see you here.
He found us.
I did. Well, thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. David Steffen, 715 Olive Tree Court, Village of Howard, but formerly 1123 Sherry Lane, Village of Ashwaubenon for 22 years. Yeah. So I did want to come here today. First of all, just a comment. I love coming to local meetings like this because the proximity and efficiency of democracy that occurs in small town halls, village halls, city halls around the state is just so encouraging. The amount of business that you just took care of in the first 20 minutes here would take the state about 6 to 9 months. So it's really encouraging to be a part of that. I did want to just take a moment and come and be here before you. Earlier this month, I provided every resident in the 4th Assembly District what I call a progress report, which is an appropriate term in my mind because I feel like I almost in an employee-employer situation that I have to report back to the people who I serve and give them an update as to what I've done, and hopefully have them respond back and let me know how I'm doing. Similarly, that's why I'm here tonight to be with you, is just have a moment to share a few thoughts from the State House, and also welcome any comments or questions from you. You are my partners as public servants and as part of this great American experiment of democracy, and so as mutual and collaborative servants to the people, I want to just kind of talk a little bit about a few things that are important to the village of Ashwaubenon statewide that I've been engaged in, and then hope to in the future. So from just a very quick review of a few things at the state level that I'm certainly trying to communicate as success over the last couple of years has been, number one, our ability to reduce the tax burden in the state of Wisconsin. It is now for taxpayers in the state of Wisconsin at a 50-year low. And some of the things that we've done to that helps. That's also produced an economy that's been very robust and allowed the state with growing coffers to invest over $600 million into our schools. As a part of that, we also included a new type of revenue source for school districts, just like in Ashwaubenon, who are low revenue districts, meaning that they've always been fiscally responsible. And so just for the 4th Assembly District, there'll be $20 million of new revenue coming to the schools, the public schools. So good things in that regard, also some regulatory reform. Some of them can be very helpful as it relates to some of the urbanized development that we're talking about. You know, it was an honor for me to help work with Ms. Swanson and others as it relates to the Premier Economic Development District that overlays the Titletown District to ensure it can meet its full capability, its full potential of $130 to $160 million of economic development. Beyond that, for communities, we did do some additional funding for transportation for municipalities, and so that's a positive. Beyond that, there are some things that are still left undone, and probably my greatest regret is that we were unable to get the dark store bills across the finish line. But I want to thank you and encourage you to continue to be engaged on this issue. Ashwaubenon was a leader in its communication to the state body, letting it know its position, hosted one of the dark store days that several of you were at. Thank you, Mary, for being there. And so we still have work to be done, and it's unfortunate we didn't get that done, especially because of the impact that the dark store theory, the dark store scheme is going to have on a community like Ashwaubenon in particular, because of its heavy retail, heavy commercial representation on the tax base. So that's one of the things that's left undone. The other thing I just wanted to mention is that I spent the last year as a chairman of the subcommittee of Ways and Means relating to local financing, local solutions as it relates to financing, and trying to see if there's some new ways we can develop funding sources, funding mechanisms for communities. So some of them don't directly relate to Ashwaubenon. I don't think you guys participate in the expenditure restraint program, not sure. But one of the things is there a possibility where communities could be part of the sales tax, where they actually generate the state sales tax, have a portion of that in lieu of property taxes? And the theory is that right now, your portfolio is primarily based on one revenue source, and that being property tax. So the success of the business is not, to be honest, from a revenue perspective, not as important to you as the brick and mortar. And that's unfortunate. All communities should be engaged directly with in encouraging the success of their businesses because it helps them. And so by having some sales tax part of the equation, kind of a diverse revenue portfolio, there might be an opportunity where municipalities could be more engaged with their businesses and also provide a better growth rate. As all you all know, shared revenue has been flat for a long, long time. The good thing about sales tax is it almost always increases by about 2% a year, so it'd be an increasing revenue source built into the cake. So Those were just a few items I wanted to mention with you. More than anything, I wanted to be here to let you know that I'm listening. I'm thinking I'm here to represent you. I do have extra ones available for the public at the back podium. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I just want to thank you again for letting me be here.
Well, David, I would like to thank you for anytime we have called your office, you've responded very quickly. You've done a great representation for us. I know that the staff has worked with you several different times. I've called your office. It is unfortunate. You have worked very hard on the dark store, and unfortunately, we didn't get that across the finish line, but hopefully we can get that across soon, so.
I hope so too. And big pieces of legislation often take 2 sessions, and you know, we're going to start again right away. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you for what you do. Anybody have any comments?
I've got a comment that I hear all the time. As a 25-year professional economic development that's worked state and federal and tribal deals, Foxconn is a travesty you guys put on the taxpayer of this state. Who's to say that in 5 or 6 years that technology is not going to exist?
Well, that's
it. A company from China promised it and ignored the local businesses, the small businesses, the entrepreneurs, the entrepreneur process, and like I said, 25 years economic development. This flies in the face of the small businesses of this state. Taxes are not a problem. Fair taxes are a problem. And I said that 6 years ago when I ran for Assembly District seat, Section 4. Taxes are not a problem. Fair taxes are a problem. You guys in Madison are knuckling under to Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce for just about everything that they want, and you're ignoring the people like the general folks in Ashwaubenon who wanted the dark store bill passed, and Boston Fitzgerald wouldn't even bring it up for a vote. We're not happy, obviously.
Well, I'm not, were you looking for a response on that, or was that rhetorical? No, seriously, would you like me to comment, or?
Not really.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, thank you.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
Again, I echo what Mary said. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You knew you might get some heat, and it takes some courage to show up in a meeting like this.
Thank you.
But there's one thing that we at this level talk about a lot, and you touched on it in your opening remarks, and that is, and it's trite, but it's true, local control. And if the gentleman from Mao Associates, if his interpretation of the statute that was passed, according to him last November, that deals with conditional uses in municipalities is accurate, I don't know if it is or not. I sure hope it isn't. But if it's accurate, that's just a good example, Dave, of the state. I'm not saying you personally, don't get me wrong, but the state cutting us off at the knees again. We know what the local situation is. The legislators, and you know, but the people from Mosinee, they don't know what it is over here. And so the state legislature does it every session. They take more and more and more authority away from the local governments. They just do. And I think that's regrettable. But there's a good example. If that statute says what this gentleman says it says, there's a perfect example of cutting us out of the issue. If conditional use, we might as well not have zoning. If that statute says what this gentleman says it says, why do we have zoning? Anybody can come in and do a conditional use permit. You can't turn this down. That's absurd. I hope that statute doesn't say that. I hope to this day it does. Not because of Mr. Wilson or anything to do with towing of vehicles. But if it says what this gentleman says, it says that's frightful. And I just hope when you get back to Madison, and I know you've done this before, you've tried to help with regard to local control, and that's a much appreciated. I'm not sure Boston Fitzgerald have any clue on what that means. So I just hope you take that to heart.
Thank you. So there's about 5 or 6 legislators every session who are recognized as champions for local control in municipalities. I was proud and honored to be named one of those. I served in a seat just like yours for 8 years And I never forgot how important that was and continues to be, whoever serves in that capacity. You know, unfortunately, there is with a lot of elected officials, they either haven't served at local level,
Yeah.
or they have and they've lost sight of the fact that that at one point they were an equal. And unfortunately, many down in Madison develop a hubris that they believe they're better than, or they have more answers than you folks. And that's unfortunate. You are colleagues, you are equals. We are all working in the same capacity, just different sized districts. So I respect and understand that. As it relates to Mr. Krauser and his comments, all I remember about that particular piece of legislation is it was almost an omnibus type bill. It was a massive piece of legislation. But I'd be happy to work with Ms. Swanson, Mr. Krauser, and whomever else to, ensure we fully understand the spirit of that legislation, but also then have the attorneys who actually provide legal analysis for the state be happy to offer them up to the village to provide a detailed response as to what the official position is as it relates to that.
Okay.
But again, I do, I share your concern, and it is a constant fight on my end to let people know that what happens here, we need to support local control. There are some communities where local control has meant a different thing. It isn't as responsive as it is here, and where some smaller governments are almost overbearing on property owners and property rights.
But you can't paint us all with the same brush. I know what you're saying. Well, thank you. That's all right. Thank you for commenting.
Thank you,
And
sir.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
You bet.
All right, one more comment to add to Ken's regarding local control.
Yes.
The village was very proud in controlling cell towers where they could go. Naturally, you're going to hear about the party homes. We have one of the 32 locations in the United States that's got a pro football team here, and we had that well under control till the upper government took care of that for us, and now we don't have control of that. I'm sure people don't like a big tall cell tower in their backyard, or somebody in a very reputable neighborhood having a party home alongside of them. We lost that control, just like Ken was explaining. And now we've got something else on the board here, if what he's saying about conditional use permit. You know, I'm looking at this and saying, why do you need us here?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I was one of the co-authors of the legislation to restore local control as it relates to cell tower sightings. Unfortunately, it didn't go very far. So I understand that. I'm thankful that the technology is changing a bit. There is a greater emphasis on what are called small cells. They're basically an appliance attached to a utility pole. And so I'm thankful for that, but I understand and appreciate the larger cell tower issue. And, you know, have been on the front lines on it. And sometimes I do feel like I'm Don Quixote against the windmill on some of these issues, but I'm not going to stop fighting. I'm not going to stop working on behalf of the issues I know are important to you. As it relates to the party house issue, I, you know, worked closely with Ms. Swanson and her staff on this issue after that started to have impact here, and tried to provide some direction on, or at least some ideas on how to tighten control as much as allowed by law, bring it right up to the line, right up to the legal line as it relates to control. And I'm hopeful that that is providing at least the necessary relief and control that you feel you need as it relates to that issue.
How can you put those simple things to you are very major to us? How can you put that in a bill and nobody sees it? Who reads all that stuff? You know, and then it passes, and then we are stuck with the problem.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is part of the challenge is there's over 3,000 pieces of legislation that are introduced every session. Some of them can be hundreds up to 1,000 pages long. And so we do our best to kind of go through them. We rely upon the lawyers that we have that are at our disposal, our staff, and then individually, you know. There's very few that I don't have a chance to go through the vast majority, but some of them get into a technical manner and matter that can be challenging for, citizen legislators like myself. And we also, by the way, and I also try to rely upon if it relates to local issues, and I don't fully get it. League of Municipalities has some, Kurt Watinsky, who is your lobbyist, does a fantastic job, and, I speak to him nights, weekends, going over different things. So you have people at your disposal to assist you and be an intermediary and to help me, and so, it's a long way of saying that we're doing the best we can to get through all the piece of legislation, but when you're dealing with 1,000 pieces, 3,000 pieces in about an 18-month period, it can be a challenge sometimes, I must confess.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you, Dave, for coming.
Thank you, and I did leave additional copies on the podium at the back if any members of the public are interested.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you again.
Good luck.
Evening. Good evening. Thank you.
Okay. D, action regarding ordinance 03-1-18, creating the B-4 Commerce Zoning District and associated zoning ordinance amendments. Aaron.
The green sheet that you have before you identifies the process that we went through to prepare the B4 Commerce District, which is meant to be a well-designed business park-like zoning district for the far southwest part of the village, primarily in the area around South Packerland Drive and Grant Street. Currently, the area is all, or for the most part, agricultural lands with some rural residential in there as well. The property is also currently zoned a B3 business and R1 residential. The B4 Commerce is meant to take over or rezone the areas that are primarily commercial at this point to, again, expand the base that the village has for new manufacturing, assembling businesses, which we've seen a large interest in, large lots for those types of enterprises.
We've met with the majority of all of the landowners in that area, correct?
Correct.
Okay, have any questions or comments for Aaron?
Move to approve ordinance number 03-4-18.
3-1.
Is that what I said?
No, you said 4.
Oh. We're on item what, 10?
D.
D.
10D.
Ah, I got ahead of myself. All right, I'm sorry. And we're looking at move to approve ordinance 03-1-18.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 03-1-18. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 10E, action regarding ordinance 03-4-18, rezoning the parcels that are listed in number 2 in the public hearing.
This is actually applying the B4 Commerce District to the identified property on the map that's included with the green sheet. We did hold a public informational meeting with all of the neighbors. That was back in November 29th, to be precise, at the community center. We had a good turnout. We discussed it at that time. We had a planning commission, and we also have it now tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have regarding the proposed map amendment, rezoning those areas from B3 commercial to B4 commerce and R1 residential to B4 commerce.
Any questions? Okay.
I'll move to approve the ordinance 03-4-18, rezoning those particular parcels.
Do I have a
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second approving ordinance 03-4-18. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, 10F, action on a request by Kevin Wilson of Wilson's Towing LLC for a conditional use permit to operate an automotive wrecker service and automobile painting/body shop facility located at 2040 South Ashland Avenue. Todd or Aaron?
I'll take it.
Okay.
The proposed or requested conditional use permit by Wilson's Trucking is for the former Badger Ladder property on Mike McCarthy Way at the far eastern end of the Stadium District. The requested conditional use permit, as identified, is for a automotive wrecker service and automobile painting shop facility. In reviewing the conditional use permit, we did meet with Mr. Wilson twice, individually at the office. Once, I believe it was December. Another time more recently, that was in, I believe, February, to discuss our concerns with the conditional use permit request and how in our estimation, it was not consistent with the vision the village set forth in their comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan sees this, or set forth this area as a mixed-use commercial, residential, entertainment area to build off the momentum from Titletown, the stadium, and all the redevelopments occurring within the stadium district itself. The comprehensive plan, again, is the basis upon which different zoning decisions, including conditional use permits, are to be made. And that's the basis upon which the recommendation from staff for denial was identified. Furthermore, on the backside of the green sheet, we did identify specific factors or considerations spelled out for the denial, including the compliance with the comprehensive plan. We again do not believe it's consistent with the comprehensive plan vision. Compatibility of existing proposed structures. The existing building is in very rough shape. There's concerns with that, about poor condition, and the overall structural integrity of the building is also in question. We have a neighboring office building, which we don't believe would be compatible with the proposed use. Other neighboring uses, we do have a hotel, Comfort Suites, that will be locating just to the west of the property, the U.S. Special Delivery property west of that. There is additional strong interest from additional developers for the north side of Mike McCarthy Way for other entertainment, retail, service type industries. The current fence on the property is falling down, so again, there are a number of issues with this property that we just do not see this being a good fit for this area, and that's based upon our recommendation is therefore for denial.
This was brought up at the plan board, and Aaron pretty much said why we were in disagreement with this. So there's no other questions. I will deny the request for this.
I think we should probably be specific, Gary, and say, based on all the recommendations of the staff and everything that Aaron stated, that would be the reasons why.
That would be the reason for it,
All right.
yes, because we've been through this twice already.
Then I'll second the motion.
And just to add on to that, there's also, as was conceded by the applicant tonight, he does not have a recorded land contract. So there is certainly an issue that he does not have a legal interest really in the property at this point.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny the conditional use permit. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. 10G, action regarding ordinance 03-3-18, rezoning parcels that are listed in public hearing number 4.
The excuse me. The requested rezoning map amendment at this point is for the remaining, most of the remaining I-1 light industrial property within the village's original industrial park in the stadium district portion of the village. As identified in the comprehensive plan, this area is envisioned to transition to, again, a mix of commercial, residential, entertainment uses, building upon the momentum associated with the Titletown district, Lambeau Field, and the associated businesses in the area. This would include most of the area to the south of Mike McCarthy Way and to the east of Holmgren Way. We did hold a neighborhood meeting following a neighborhood-wide mailing on February 13th, 2018, here at Ashwaubenon Village Hall.
Okay, any questions?
All right, I'll make them.
Aaron,
I'm sorry, go
I've
ahead.
got to play a little dumb on this. I was not here at that particular hearing. All the neighbors in that neighborhood were in favor of what we're doing here, I'm assuming?
Mr. Wilson was not
Okay.
at that meeting.
Okay.
Move to adopt ordinance number 03-3-18.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 03-3-18. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, 10H, presentation on 2018 village-wide property reevaluation. Mr. Diener.
Thank you. Just a little background. In 1998, a complete reevaluation was completed whereby all interior inspections are done on commercial and residential properties. And the market was strong then. By 2005, we were out of compliance. So for 2006, rather than go through all the interior inspections again, a market adjustment revaluation was completed. Shortly after that 2006 market adjustment, the market reverted, it flattened, and by 2013, it was decided to do another revaluation, but in that revaluation, we actually brought the values of the homes back down because the market had dropped. Now, in 2018, part of the 2018 budget, I've been contracted to bring the homes and the businesses back closer to the market value what exists today. And part of what I was asked to do tonight was to give you some idea of the scope of the work of what my office is doing as part of a market adjustment. Market adjustment is also often known as a book reval. It is not requiring interior inspections of properties. It's more looking at the existing data that we have. And what we start out with is looked at 3 years. I'm talking residential property right now. That we'd look at least 3 years of sales and look and see how much is, say, a 1,200 square foot, 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house on April Lane selling for. And then we'd look to see what is the same type of home only with 2 bathrooms, or maybe perhaps a finished basement, or condition good versus average. And we create what's called a model based on all these sales in the different parts of the village. And once we have that model established, it's what we refer to as a cost-driven market approach, where once we have the model established, then we'll value all the homes in the village. And after that's done, we also bring in the actual sales comparison approach to see how that'll pair up against our model. Once our values are completed, I also look at the commercial. Now in commercial we have sales, but nowhere near as many sales as we have in the residential sector. And so many commercial properties are unique one from another, so it's hard to pair up a commercial sale from one property to the next. So we also have to rely on investment properties where there's income. We send out letters to properties that may have leases in places or rents that can help us aid in the investment approach to see how much the property would sell, what a prudent investor would pay for that property. We also use a software, it's Marshall and Swift, which is called a cost estimator, to see what that property, what that building is worth, what it's worth new, and then we apply depreciation and age, different characteristics to look at the value of it. Once all these properties are valued, commercial and residential, we have to look and see what the Department of Revenue has on the overall value of the village. I'm under contract to have our assessed values at or very near 100%. So when I'm completed with the project, if I'm a little high or a little low on the overall value as compared or determined by the Department of Revenue, I will do mass adjustments on all parcels, all properties, to bring them, hone them in to be very close to what the Department of Revenue deems to be full value. And there's part of the reason why sometimes you'll look at assessments and they might look a little different than what you really true to be market value, because we may know they're worth a house worth 100,000, but to match up with this full equalized value, we might have them at 98,000 or 101,000, because I'm under contract to be at 100%. Once our assessments are completed, once that process is done, and probably should be in middle to late July, we'll be sending out notices to every property in the village, and there'll be a 30-day open book session where they can contact us to discuss. When I say we, I have my office on the east side, which most of you know, and I have 4 employees. And we'll also have open book sessions in this, probably right in this room. Upon completion of the open book session, we don't have the exact date set yet, but it should be sometime in mid to late August that we'll have our 2018 border review.
My one question, Mike, is when these houses that are around Lambeau, so you have a 3-bedroom ranch that has an assessed value right now of $135,000, and it sells for $250,000. Does that kind of skew the model?
It sure does. It sure does. Where's that line? If I'm going to make adjustments on these homes, and I really haven't decided where that line will be, and you and I think, had some conversations in the past about this. In the past, I looked at it that it's zone residential. It can only be used as residential. Now, as we had talked tonight with, the board had talked with Mr. Steffens, having other uses available to them now, I do have to give that consideration, that these homes, even though they're zone residential, they have a higher use. It's difficult. There's also those parties that have no desire to sell. It's just an elderly couple that are going to live out their years in that house, and I have to have equity. I have to treat them all the same. If I raise one, I can't just spot reval. They all go up or they all go down within a defined area. So I haven't completely determined how I'm going to do it. I faced that on Stadium Drive already in the past, in the last reval, and for the most part, I raised them all.
I had one legislator tell me when I voiced my frustration with what they did with taking away our zoning rights for short-term rentals. It was not Mr. Steffen, but there was a legislator that told me that it was a good thing for the village because we could just raise everybody's taxes when they sell their homes for all that money, and it's not a big deal. You'll get more money. And I'm like, no, it doesn't really work that way. So even they don't know how it works down in Madison. So, but thank you, Mike.
Sure.
If there's any questions, anybody have any questions on tax assessment?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay. 10I, action on amendment to Ash Park Planned Unit Development for proposed building and site alterations located at 737 Cormier Road. Todd.
This is the former Ashwaubenon Historical Society building. Is going through a process right now of reconstruction, remodeling, to be the location of a purveyor clinic. I believe it's to do with their ideal weight. It's a different, they're coming out of one facility going into this one here. Essentially what's going to take place is the front, about 610 square feet of the existing building will be taken off, will be demoed off the front of the building. Then the front elevation will line up with what's next to the Harbor Wealth, very close. It'll be set back a little bit further. The new building will have the same material, which will be a split face block at the base, brick up the majority of it, and an ephes at the top. So it will be stylish. It will blend buildings together. There will be additional parking in front of the building as well on the side, so the overgrown landscaping that's in there now will be removed. There are some stipulations when it went through the site plan review committee, which was conditionally approved earlier this month. And basically, it ties to leaving the 2 street trees in place and maintaining them through the process. Also, additional bike parking and a sidewalk, which would be connecting from the building to the new sidewalk that will be constructed along Cormier, in that area with the reconstruction of Cormier Road. And then additionally, they'll be working with the engineering department in regards to utilizing the existing utilities. There are 2 different water lines in there, so they're trying to clarify which ones would be better ones to use for that type of facility, as well as coordinating, again, the road construction and their access points. It did go through site plan, was conditionally approved with those stipulations, and the developer did agree with those as well as part of that conditional approval. This is an amendment to the PUD, mainly because it does alter an existing building within the PUD boundary.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
As Todd said, being on the site plan committee, it was brought forward to us. It's a great addition to the property. It enhances what they're doing on that corner. I think it'll be well worth our time to take care of this. If there's no questions, I'll move to approve the Ashcare Park planned unit development.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the Ash Park Planned Unit Development addition. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 10J, action on a request by J. Dressen, agent for JESK Investments, LLC, for an extension of the conditional use permit to construct a self-storage development located at 700 Block Bayton Road and 707 and 709 Bayton Road. Todd.
Unfortunately, Jay Dressen was not able to be here tonight. We did send along the request in his written documentation. What he's looking for, I guess a little history on it, back in 2016, actually in October 2015, it first came before the board, was tabled at that point until he could acquire additional, work out the ownership of the property, was approved in 2016, then was amended when he acquired additional property in 2017. So it was actually tomorrow, March 28, 2017, would have been the approval date if construction is not commenced, with substantial construction being completion, which is technically classified as above the footing and foundation, so they at least have walls up or roof or something of that nature, at least on one of the buildings. If it's not done within 1 year, the conditional use is void. So that's the request today, is he's asking for a request to extend his previously approved conditional use permit for a 6-month period. He currently does have excavators in line, I believe, to start in May, with construction on the building to start in June or July. So he'll be well within that 6-month time frame. I would anticipate that he'll be close to actually completing one of them by the end of September. With the 6-month extension, it would actually come to September 26th of 2018. At that point, you'd have to have substantial construction on at least one of them to allow for the use to be applicable. As you see in the attached letter, he has been working with the village on a stormwater pond. That is a separate issue. It did kind of tie him up as far as working things out, but this is actually an extension on the proposed and conditionally approved, previously approved conditional use permit. If we can work something out with the village on a stormwater pond, that's great, but that's a separate issue aside from the request tonight.
Todd, I had a discussion today with Steve Burr about the stormwater pond, and we're constructing 3 different ponds this year. We have Main Avenue Pond, Coronas, and the Ashland Pond extension. So Steve said there's no plans to be doing that pond on Bayton Road for a number of years. It's kind of low down on the totem pole, so that shouldn't even play into it. My concern is, I don't have a problem doing the 6-month extension, but how much does he have to have done in that 6 months? I mean, I just don't want him to take this and build one building and then stop.
I believe, I guess I'd refer to Tony on that, but my understanding is once at least the one building is built, the use is actually, use is on site. Therefore, the conditional use would be applicable then at that point. You'd be conforming with the conditional use. Even if he doesn't build it the way the site plan originally was done, if he only builds one of them, he still has to maintain the asphalt surface, the stormwater ponds, and everything else to go with it. But I don't think he has to build all 4. He'd only have to build one of them.
Okay. Okay. Comments, questions?
I just have a general question to anybody. What's the general consensus or opinion on, you see a lot of these storage units going up now, and more of them in closer inside of municipalities. Is that ever an issue? Is that?
It's not something we really like to encourage. And our land values are so high that we also expect to have higher value in order to really generate what comes with that and what we're trying to do in our community. They're becoming more popular in part because there's a lot of small businesses that are, say landscape contractors and things like that, that need space to work out of, and so a little bit of a trend is using that as an office space plus their garage, if you will. But overall, it has not really been favored within the village. We have very few of them. We get a lot of calls for people who would love to do them. People like them to be close to their house, so that's why there's demand for them. But overall, not something we really historically have encouraged or have been excited to have.
Is there, not that I'd want to, not saying I want to discourage them, because they're definitely, I mean, they're useful to me, and there is a great use for them, but is there a point where the village decides enough, and is there a way you can kind of prevent a bunch of them from, or any, an infestation of them?
We don't have an over-infestation of them because they have not been permitted in most districts. They're conditional in a few districts. In this particular case, from a staff perspective, I think we thought it was an okay use because there's a lot of things that could not happen on that site. You're founded by the, is that the Army there, or the Military Reserve Center. You're not on a major thoroughfare in terms of a commercial district. So it was somewhat limited in terms of what its possible uses are. In previous requests for this particular conditional use permit, the office use next to it has spoken against it. It was granted, though. I think from a staff perspective, it's kind of drawn out long enough, and he's had enough time. So I guess we leave it up to you, but certainly from a staff perspective, we would be okay with a denial.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I talked to Jay the other day, and he told me he wasn't going to be here, and I told him I don't have a problem with the 6-month extension, but you got to get it done or it's going to go away. So, and this passed at Plan Board, right?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
All right, I'll move to approve the extension to the permit. It was kind of a tough one to push through. I had a problem with it because I see things started here and they just don't get done. But he did say he's got everybody in line to move forward to get going on this. The question is he going to continue after the first building? And I don't know what, I can't answer something like that because I don't know what his thought is. I'm assuming it'll continue on, so we'll give him the 6-month permit extension and see how it goes from there.
Okay, we have a motion. I need a second if we're going to discuss anything. No? Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to grant the 6-month extension. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We have a no here.
We have 1 no. Okay. 10K, proclamation request declaring April 27, 2018 as Arbor Day in the village of Ashwaubenon. Tim is not here, so I'll let Rex talk about Arbor Day. It'll be a day of our next village board meeting, I believe.
Correct. By having a proclamation announcing that Arbor Day, it also opens up our opportunity to apply for different type of grants as well, one of those being the condition as such. Basically, Arbor Day is just a day to celebrate trees and the planting of trees and the different virtues that they give a community, including increasing property values.
Okay, and it's on Friday, the 27th. It's not the day of our next village board, sorry. Okay.
Rex, question. Sometime back, we had what you call a cleanup day. Am I hitting on the right subject where people, I remember John Otis taking care of that for us, cleaning up. Help me with the cleaning up. I don't know what it was about. Do we do any of that anymore?
No, that was through the Ashwaubenon Business Association. They created a cleanup day in the village, which is kind of what we would consider our downtown area. The different business members would take different blocks and basically walk those blocks and kind of clean up the wintertime litter that had accumulated once all the snow had melted. But that is no longer. The organization is not doing it, and no one has taken the bull by the horns to do that.
Okay.
When John did that too, he was given grant dollars from American Family Insurance that helped to facilitate that event.
Yeah, a number of us participated staff-wise. I probably say there was anywhere between 25 to 35 volunteers.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the grant dollars were used to help purchase the garbage bags, the bin for the collection of the garbage, as well as like a sub-sandwich dinner after the event was finished.
Yeah, it was a great community event.
Yeah, I remember the food and the beverage.
Okay, any more discussion on Arbor Day? Hearing none, let's go to,
Do we need to approve the proclamation?
oh,
or-
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
We need a motion to approve the proclamation.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the proclamation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, L, action on resolution number R3-5-18 to apply for the 2018 Wisconsin RPCs and DNR tree planting grant program. Rex.
The Bay Lake Regional Planning Commission has gotten together with the DNR. They've been able to secure some grant funding to help alleviate the number of trees that are being removed with the emerald ash borer infestation. As such, we feel it would certainly be appropriate to apply for that particular grant. It's a 25% matching grant, which is easily attained by the village just by the fact that we would be the ones planting the trees, using our equipment, using our labor. So basically, it would be free trees if we were awarded the grant. Talking with Tim, look, we're already doing first down for trees. We already have other trees that are planted. Just looking at his workload, he said that he would feel comfortable adding on an additional 40 to replace some of the ash trees that we'll be removing this year, specifically in Ashwaubenon Park as well as Klipstein Park. And so we are looking for approval to apply for that grant and the accompanying resolution to go with it.
Move to approve the grant.
Second.
And resolution.
And the resolution, yes.
Mike seconded.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution number R3-5-18. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
M, review and action regarding the water and sewer utility purchase of a 2018 two-wheel drive extended cab standard box 1/2 ton pickup truck. Mr. Mark.
Give it away.
Before you tonight are our quotes from February 16th is when the quotes are due for the pickup trucks. We had a budget of $27,500 for the truck. Sent our quotes out to 14 of our standard dealers that we get quotes from and the governmental supply dealerships. Received 5 quotes back, 3 meeting spec. Had a low quote, a responsible quote of $25,073 from Ewald for a Ford F-150. We've gotten a number of trucks from them in the past. Staff's recommendation would be to award the quote to Ewald Automotive in that amount of $25,073. With that, I'll take any questions.
Well, I understand, Doug. I understand where you're coming from.
And I think I know what
I
your
agree,
question is. And I have it listed in there, and that is something that the village board, again, in all of our quotes and all of our bids, the village reserves the right to accept or reject bids.
We've talked about E-wall before, haven't we? And
Yes.
you've been positive about that.
Yep. And we will always recommend the lowest responsible bidder.
Right.
We get calls afterwards. I'm not saying, in this instance, Ewald would call us directly after the meeting, but in our bids, we get calls afterwards asking
Sure.
where they place.
Sure.
And I hold that in pretty high regard, because if we start saying, thanks for your bid, and we selected business C because it's one of those tricky, it's one of those slippery slopes where all of a sudden that happens once, okay, that was nice. It happens again, we might not start getting those bids from those firms, and then all of a sudden our prices inch up. And that's the reason why you see the recommendation the way it is.
I understand.
Does that make sense, everybody, that what I explained? That's the reasoning for the
It
recommendation.
makes sense, but it's less, I looked at this today too, and it's less than $300, and we could have the same truck from a local firm that is a great community partner for us. And that's the only reason why I looked at that. That's.
Completely understandable. And if you make a decision, otherwise I'm not going to take my ball and go home. Don't worry. But the recommendation will always, from staff, will always be that way, in the spirit of
The other bid was all still under budget.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to gamble. I know what you're saying, Doug, and we don't want to put you in jeopardy, or any village department for that matter. And what I understand most is what you said about if they don't get it this time, might they in the future say, well, they each with you, we're not going to bid again. And that's what bothers me more than anything. But I have to agree with Mary. I just think these are, I'm going to make a motion to accept Broadway's automotive bid for $25,400.
For Broadway?
Yes.
I thought you said Ewald.
No, Broadway I'm sorry, maybe I slipped.
No.
Broadway Automotive for $25,400.
Ewald
Okay,
was the low bid.
I'm catching up. All right.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, God, I gotta say second for a Ford though? Jeez.
Hi, first on race day.
What's wrong with the GMC?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to recommend the purchase from Broadway Automotive for $25,400. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. N, review and approval of resolution number R 3-1-18, supporting the Village of Ashwaubenon's application for a Wisconsin Department of Transportation Alternatives Program grant for bicycle and pedestrian improvements on West Main Avenue. Doug.
See, Ken, it wasn't too bad, Ken. I didn't take my ball and go home. I'm still here to bore you with the next topic, so. Yes. Yeah. Now I'm going to get back at you. For the next hour and a half, we're going to talk about TAP grants. What this is, folks, is in our bike and ped plan and in our TIP 4 plan, we have a trail project proposed to go from Sand Acres, connecting the trail on Sand Acres and on West Main Avenue and our Industrial Park Trail, to the sidewalk at the western roundabouts of 41 and Main Avenue. There are 2 or 3 pretty good challenges along that project, crossing a couple of culvert extensions, some grade issues. So what the village did was it applied for a state TAP grant, Transportation Alternatives Program grant. And as part of that grant process, there is a resolution of support from the local jurisdiction for the project, which is what you have before you tonight. As an update, this project, our project, ranked 3rd place. The top 2 get funding. However, the top 2 have not accepted the funding as of yet, so I want to still continue with our resolution. In the event that one of those 2 communities on their funding would turn it down, then we would fall into place for getting funding. And then we'd use this resolution also, we're going after a couple other grants that we'd like to use this paperwork in. So that's the long and short of it.
I move to approve resolution R3-1-18.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number R3-1-18. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. O, request to approve resolution R3-4-18, amending TID 5 boundaries and project plan.
I'd like to amend the TID 5 boundary and project plan.
What?
I can go through it again.
Oh.
All of you have heard it like a few different times. But essentially, we're adding the land next to Village Hall for the baseball stadium. The parcels across the street, one of them vacant, one of them, it's a building on it, but the building is vacant. We're also adding the Capital Credit Union property because they have retained a portion of property that's in TIF that would join with their existing property. So that kind of cleans that area up. And then the area around the Expo Center, Rec Center, in case we need to access TIF funds for any type of private development that may be added to the Expo project or potential road or other utility improvements that would maybe be needed in that area. The project plan is also amended in order to accomplish our goals with respect to the baseball stadium. Overall, the project plan is also, you'll see a cash flow at the very end. That's just a projection. It's amended in terms of things we do know at this point in terms of the multi-phase projects that we have and valuations that we are seeing come through. But then again, some of it's just assessing the properties that are there, that are vacant or could be redeveloped, and trying to estimate what the most likely use or value of those are. So again, just a projection, but it would still reflect the TIF cash flowing with the current and anticipated expenses by the end of the life of the TIF. And if you approve it today, it will then go to the Joint Review Board next week on April 3rd. And if they approve, the TIF amendment would actually go into place effective January 1st of 2018. So long as we approve before end of October 1st, basically, it would be retroactive to the first of the year. And I can certainly ask and answer any other specific questions you have.
Move to approve resolution R3-4-18.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve resolution R3-4-18. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. P, action on ordinance number 03-02-18, changing street name for William Charles Court to Element Way. Tony.
This is just for the part from Oneida Street to the end of the cul-de-sac.
Okay.
We just wanted
questions?
to approve it. Thank you.
Ken, is it all right?
Why, certainly. Why would we say no, right?
We could call it Kenneth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Move to approve.
There you go.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 03-02-18. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Q, request to amend PAC staffing. Allison.
What's this?
No, let me take it. Yeah, you take a rest. We, several months ago, it was decided to try and hire a part-time administrative assistant and a part-time technical person at the PAC. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I've seen a rough draft of next season's. It's not finalized yet, but it's going to be a nice season next year. In fact, the last one of this year, June 1st, as you know, it's a little river band, and that was a huge accomplishment to bring something like that in. So what happened is that there were no applicants for the technical position, lighting and sound. Those folks are hard to come by. And right now, we have to rent. When we don't have the people at the facility, which we don't, we have some who are barely, not much, that's the wrong word to use. They're capable, but not of handling all of the very technical appliances that are needed in the sound and the lighting when we get a bigger performance, a performance by a bigger group. So anyway, to do it right, Kate would like to just let you know that she's changed from a half-time administrative assistant and a half-time technical person to try and hire a full-time technical person and forget the administrative person for now. And hopefully we can get someone to do that. Just, I didn't know this, but Kate and I were talking the other day, and she said, "Oh, thank the village for the company switch." That came from donated money. I said, "What's the company switch?" "Well, it's expensive. It was fairly expensive. I forget what it was." And she said, "Well, when a band like Little River Band comes in, if they hook into our electricity, everything pops." So this company switch is a 200 amp switch, which allows them to plug into that and doesn't affect any of our other lighting or sound. So, I mean, that's how complicated this stuff gets. I'm sure you folks have been to performances where the sound is just blows you out of your seat, or the lighting. I went to one in Manitowoc the other night with Kate. We were scouting out a performance by the Red Hot Chili Pipers. Anyway, we're hoping to get them in here. Yes, they were great. Anyway, the lighting for that show in Manitowoc was incredible, just incredible. And they have two strobe lights. Just two. I mean, they have a lot of light, but two especially, two strobe lights. Those cost $6,000 to purchase. We don't have them. If we need them, we'll have to rent them. But so anyway, to make a long story short, just information. She's moving from a half-time to a full-time technical person. So no more money is needed. She can take care of it, and hopefully it'll work. So that's a long story, but
you have budgeted for the two different positions. The new, by combining them, there will now require to be different benefit levels and whatnot as required about that. So she's still adjusting the position to fall within the range, all inclusive of benefits. This position is also shared with the school district, so they will continue to fund it. And then in addition, as the success, they are having great success at the PAC, and as that continues and there are revenues, we've kind of agreed that we would stockpile some for kind of like a rainy day fund and to help sponsor and kick off shows. But to the extent there's funds above that, those would go towards reducing our expenses in relation to this position, and then the half funding we have for Kate's position as well. So I technically have it on as a approval for you to vote on it, just in terms of it's an official staffing change, but you can do what you will. Kate is not here because I did not anticipate that you would have a lot of issues with this issue.
We'll make a motion to approve, but before I do that, I just want the board to know that fundraising is continuing. We are continuing out there in the community to raise funds. We're try to get sponsors for our shows. We did it well this year. Kate did a good job. I got some, and there were some others that came in. And we're doing the same next year. We're working on an overall season sponsor. We've got a couple of hopeful, positive prospects that we're working on, but we're not just letting it go financially. Financially, it's doing fairly well, actually, better than I thought it would. But we're continuing to work on financing the operation of that PAC. We're not sitting on our laurels, so to speak. We're continuing to do that. So just so you know that. So in case of that, I'll make a motion to approve the item here for the technical director.
All right, I'll second it if there's no other questions.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the request to amend the PAC staffing. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Any items for next agenda?
Yeah, just one. I see the Plan Commission meeting is canceled next Tuesday. Would it be a big problem if we had Public Works at 5 instead of 5? 5:30 is right in the middle of I was going to say cocktail hour, but it's dinner, really. But if we could do it at 5 instead of 5:30, would that, Gary, can you make 5? You're not on a Public Works, I'm sorry.
No, I'm not, but
No,
I'm at every one of the meetings.
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
Mary,
right.
you're on.
It does interfere with
I'm not
copyright.
on.
You're not on that? Who else? Oh, is that 5 o'clock all right with you?
Yeah, sure.
I think most of the other members, if not all, are retired or, Allison, can you make 5?
She's just not on it.
Oh, wonderful.
You're not-
I'm
Plan
sorry?
is canceled.
Plan is.
It's Public Works that we're talking about?
Public
Yeah,
Works.
you're not on Public Works.
What about the young fellow?
The banker?
Josh.
Josh?
Well,
Well, Terry can get a hold of him.
yeah. Can you do 5?
Yeah, we can try and schedule that. I just want I don't think this is going to be an issue, but we do have the joint review board meeting, one at 4:15 and another one at 4:30. That still leaves them a half hour. But I just didn't want you
What do
caught
you
up.
have at 4:30?
Joint review board for the
Oh.
TIP amendments
Oh.
and then the annual
Yeah.
review.
Okay.
I think that will still be adequate time. I just wanted to let you know that, and
Okay.
I will have Terry work on that
If you
tomorrow.
can, that would be appreciated. Let us know then, will you?
I would note, one of the members of the committee in question is an election inspector and will not be in attendance for that meeting.
Either 5 or 5:30, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Number
Thank you.
12, closed session.
During the meeting of the village board of the Village of Ashwaubenon may convene in a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 1985-1C for the purpose of discussion and possible action on personnel matters related to the employment compensation or performance evaluation data of a public safety employee over which the village board has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Also, B, Wisconsin Statute Section 1985-1E for the purpose of discussion and possible action on deliberating or investing public funds regarding public safety specialized assignments or job specialties where competitive and bargaining reasons require closed session. The village board may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 1985 sub 2 to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda. I'll accept a motion to convene in a closed session, Madam President.
So
Second.
you have a motion and a second to go into closed session. Voice roll call, please.
Trustee Allison Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Paul.
Yes.
Trustee Zerbal.
Yes.
Trustee Bukowski.
Yes.
Trustee Melchewski.
Yes.
President Kardasky,
Yes.
with Trustee Mark Williams excused.
Okay.
We are in closed
We are
session.
going into closed